Yeah, players, coaches, and owners have all said men identifying as women should be welcomed into the league, which Enes Kanter-Freedom and Royce White are calling out by declaring for the WNBA draft. Shannon, it's the WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association. All they have to do is adopt the same standards as the Women's Tennis Association, the NCAA, the Olympics, and test one time to prove that it's all women. If it's not the WNBA, then it becomes a unisex league. Here's a fact for you from a pure economic perspective. The G League, which is the minor league of the NBA, the average player makes $45,000 a year. The average WNBA player makes $500,000 a year. There's a lot of people watching us right now that would raise their right hand, Shannon, and say, I identify as a man or a woman. If identifying as a different gender got you 10 times the salary, this is why the WNBA is in crisis. The fact that they can have a meeting with all their league leaders and they can't come up with a basic definition of a woman. Maybe we need to go back to Kindergarten Cop, Shannon, if people remember that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. So the pro Sophie Cunningham rallies continue across the country as the Fever travel around competing in various games. They won recently against Atlanta, and some more epic memes were created from that game. And women and men are showing up at the beginning of these games, standing outside, letting Sophie know that we support her, thanking her for standing up for women and girls, being one of the only female athletes currently competing here in the US who has stood up for women and girls. Certainly a lone voice within the WNBA. So a lot of the women show up, they're wearing these XXXY shirts, Save Women's Sport, for the girls, you know, these sort of shirts. And of course, any reasonable person would say, no, that's not political. That is simply repping, you know, the categories that we have in sports, saying that sports is either XX or XY when we talk about sex categories. And many would argue, I would argue actually, that that is not as contentious as saying trans kids belong, wearing those sort of t-shirts. But it appears that there's one rule for a particular group and a different rule entirely for another group. And it all depends on whether you bow to gender ideology. Those who subscribe to gender ideology can wear whatever t-shirts they want. They can rep trans kids belong and, you know, all this sort of thing. Gender ideology, they can rep that. They'll be put on the Jumbotron. They'll be all over the place. But if you wear a simple shirt that talks about chromosomes, XXXY, you will have the owners of certain teams yelling at you, telling you you're effing crazy and all of this sort of thing. Or you'll be told you're not allowed to wear that shirt and you should cover it up. And that's what a mother and daughter are alleging that happened at the game recently, that they were told that they have to cover up their shirts. So let's take a look. So at today's Atlanta Dream versus Indiana Fever game, a local mum and daughter were told they had to cover up their t-shirts from XXXY Athletics or leave the arena. What's up with that? At Atlanta Dream. And this was posted by Jennifer Say, the founder of this XXXY Athletics company.
Here's video of a local Georgia mom named Casey and her daughter Annie that were told they had to put these Atlanta Dream t-shirts over their existing XXXY Athletics t-shirts. They were told by a security guard that their shirts were offensive and they had to put on this Wellness Night t-shirt or they would be escorted out of the building. This is during overtime of the Fever versus Dream game. Here's them, you can see on the right, with the t-shirts on at the tail end of the game. This is discrimination. This is disgusting. Shame on you, Atlanta Dream.
Guys, this is unbelievable. They were told to cover up their shirts. They're sitting on the third row, so I'm presuming they spent like at least $1,000 for these seats, and they're told to cover up their shirts. How is that respecting their freedom of speech? They're coming to a basketball game where the people wearing trans kids belong shirts told to cover up their shirts. Because they do say at certain games that, you shouldn't wear political attire. But it's become apparent from the first Sophie Cunningham rally that it was one rule for the woke activists and another rule for the people standing up for women and girls. Where they discriminate against people simply standing up for women and girls. It's really shocking. I didn't realize there was footage of them covering up their shirts. They came out of the stadium and they were telling people, this is what happened to us. But there's proof of this. Video footage of it happening. Very, very disturbing indeed. To treat paying, fans like that who pay good money for good seats, to tell them that they're not allowed to wear a t-shirt. And it isn't anything offensive. Obviously, there's nothing offensive about chromosomes. That's just a biological fact, a biological reality. And they're told to cover their shirts, to wear something that they didn't choose to wear. Like, what if they'd given them trans kids, belong shirts to cover up the XXXY? I mean, obviously, I'm sure they would have kicked up more of a fuss, but they were very gracious.
And we were made to cover up our XXXY shirts at this game.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes. They gave us shirts. They gave us T-shirts during overtime and told us we had to leave.
And this is for the girl.
Or cover our shirts up. This just happened.
Where were you sitting?
Floor
4-3 row
C.
Yeah.
Third row of floor 3.
And how much were your seats?
$1,000 each around.
Yeah, and we did nothing. Like we were just sitting there. I didn't make signs. I wanted to make signs, but I didn't. I did nothing.
They made us put our shirts on.
I did notice during the game on the Jumbotron, they put up a woman wearing a shirt that said protect trans rights or something.
She was the one who told on because she was made to zip up her jacket.
So she also had to zip up her jacket?
But I think
that's bullshit too. She shouldn't have to.
But they put her shirt on the Jumbotron.
I know.
Wow. That is interesting. So when you hear that, you think, okay, they're treating everybody the same. Fair enough. But then they put her on the Jumbotron. And then when you look at images of the games, you do see people, woke activists in the crowd, wearing those trans kids belong t-shirts. They're all over the place. And I'm sure they probably wouldn't have even thought of wearing those shirts if it wasn't for Sophie Cunningham, saying what she said. And people wearing XXXY shirts. It's in response to people wearing XXXY and in response to Sophie Cunningham, like Cheryl Reeve initially did. That was clearly in response to Sophie Cunningham. They can't help themselves. We're not allowed to have a difference of opinion. The moment you do, they're going to make sure that they shout louder. So, I guess I would advise you to check the rules before you go. I definitely want to attend some of these rallies if I'm able to. And I will look at the rules to see what they say. Because if they tell me to cover up my shirt, I'm not going to do it. Well, I know it's easy for me to say. And they're going to put me in a predicament because am I going to walk away from $1,000 seat? Well, I'm not going to spend that much. But I do have contacts who can get me good seats. I'm just saying, not to brag, but I do have contacts who can get me good seats. So, I have sat in really good seats before. It's a very huge predicament. Can you walk away from $1,000 seat? Even if you haven't paid for it, somebody's paid for it. And I would feel bad just walking away because they tell me to cover my shirt up. So, yeah, I get why they complied because, they paid a lot of money for those seats and they're enjoying the game and they just want to be left alone. So I guess they were like, oh, let me just do it. And then someone else was told to do it as well. But wow, this is crazy.
But they put her shirt on the Jumbotron.
I know.
It's almost like the message was made and they said, now zip it up to make it seem like they're consistent.
Yeah.
But they never were.
Yeah. No, never are.
And why did you spend so much on tickets? Why was it important for you to be here today?
To support Sophie Cunningham and to support women and women's sports because it's just common sense.
And what's wrong with that? Seriously. They were there for Sophie Cunningham because she spoke out in support of women's sports and making sure that it's female only. Thank you, Sophie. We agree. We're happy you spoke up and we're here to support you because you received backlash. What is so bad about that? They're not harassing anybody. They're not being, violent, aggressive, or anything like that. If anything, it's the woke activists who are prone to that. So again, it's just because you don't like their message that women's sports should be for women only.
The relation here?
That's my daughter.
And are you an athlete?
I used to be until I had a bunch of knee surgery.
What sport?
I did all sorts here. I did soccer. I did all of that.
Yes.
And did this issue ever come up? Like, did a biological man ever try to play against?
No.
We're from here, so it hasn't happened here
A lot.
but I can't believe that just happened
Yeah, that's
in
shocking.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. It's crazy in Atlanta, in Georgia, because Atlanta, definitely is very liberal, but this is Georgia we're talking about. And these are locals and they're shocked. And there are other women's shirts that are a lot more, blatant. This is kind of subtle. It's just XXXY. The young lady, with the For the Girls shirt, that is not offensive in any way. And it has small XX writing on the front. Why would you have a problem with For the Girls? Why would you have a problem with acknowledging the chromosomes of a woman? Do you not want us to exist? Because that's what they would say if it was the other way around. Do you not want us to exist? Wanting to cover up something that points to science, points to biological reality, is denying the existence, of who women are. Because that goes against the narrative that a man can become a woman. And that's what they're offended about. I'm starting to think everyone in charge of and involved in the WNBA actually want it to fail. There is no other explanation for this. I agree 100%.
Caitlin Clark is the goose that laid the golden egg for the WNBA, and you see the numbers reflecting very positively for her. But if you go back and you look at what happened when Venus and Serena Williams joined the Women's Tennis Association, everybody got in line. She looked different, both of those women did, than the typical players. Think about Tiger Woods when he came to the PGA. It was a little bit of maybe a speed bump, but then everybody got in line. Everybody made way more money. The entire organization welcomed him. And I'll give you another one. Ronda Rousey in the UFC. Shannon, I bought UFC pay-per-view fights to watch Ronda Rousey fight. I didn't care about the women's UFC at all before her. Most of these leagues, the WTA, the PGA, the UFC, they've all embraced these gifts in a way that the WNBA, frankly, has been unable to do. And I think it's unfortunate because Caitlin Clark has certainly shined a spotlight we've never seen before on the WNBA.
So we've got this woman who's got a very good seat, sat behind the commentators, wearing a trans kids belong in sports shirt, even though no one said they can't compete in sports. Okay, so I was about to wrap up the video, but it appears a response from the WNBA has been received. They have responded to the allegations that a mother and daughter were told to cover up their shirts. And obviously we have video proof of this. This is what they had to say. The WNBA is aware of interactions at last night's game in Atlanta, in which fans were asked by league security to cover their shirts. This should not have happened. I'll look for more to that statement, but if that's all of the statement, then that's a very brief statement, and wow, okay. So it should not have happened. So they're admitting that, they were targeting this mother and daughter because of their XXXY shirts. And this is why you can only believe that they want the league to fail. 2 fans who have paid $1,000 apiece get treated that way? Do you think they're going to return anytime soon? Or at least return other than simply to support Sophie? I doubt it. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video. And a huge thanks to all of those who have hyped my videos. It is greatly appreciated.